Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Pitch. I'm Kristian Jack. This week, I'm in conversation with another key personality from our league, showcasing different sides to them rather than simply what we see on the pitch. Last time we chatted with York United's left winger, Diadine Abzi. It was a wonderful conversation that I hope you find time to catch if you haven't already. This week, I sit down with a real star in the Canadian Premier League. And before we get into that, let me say that I am now privileged to be into my third decade when it comes to interviewing footballers. Many of those interviews have been good. Some have been very good. And then you get some that are next level, where it doesn't really feel like an interview. It's simply an open conversation where listeners can learn so much more about that player. That was what this episode was like. Marco Bustos is arguably the best player in the Canadian Premier League right now. But how did he get to this level? He opens up his heart and his mind and tells us a lot more on this episode. He takes us on his journey from growing up in a football mad household in Winnipeg to a stint at Liverpool where he trained with Chris Mavinga, amongst others, a life-changing decision to go to Vancouver Whitecaps and why tears flowed during some very rough times there, more life-defining decisions to go to Mexico, OKC, and why all of this helped him mold who he is today. I first met Marco many years ago when he was a young man in Vancouver. And for me, this is a wonderful example of how maturity can strike at different times and why now at 25, he is the way he is on the pitch. It's a fascinating conversation and I hope you like it. Here is Marco Bustos. Great to see you. Thanks for joining me. How's things?
Yeah, nice to see you too. No, things are good. Obviously, bubble life is a bit different than normal life, but can't complain too much. We're back playing football, and that's where I'm at my happiest. So everything's going good here in Winnipeg.
You said that's where you're at your happiest. It looks like you're having a ton of fun out there with your teammates playing, and your team's playing really well as well.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, where I'm happiest and where most guys are happiest is on the pitch. And we've just been training hard the last year and a half. Probably the most training I've done in my career, but no, now it's you get to go out, perform, and have fun, and it's been a good month so far here in the bubble.
Yeah, we'll get into your family life in a minute and obviously getting you, the roots that have really made you into who you are today. But before we do that, just to finish on the stuff in the bubble, it appears from the outside, Marco, that you got a tremendous family unit going on there within your team as well, led by Pa-Modou Kah as well. And the camaraderie feels like it's genuine and real that translates to success on the pitch.
Yeah, it's amazing. Actually the first time in my career, I'm in a team where, everyone is on the same page. We're a really tight-knit group. A lot of the times in the teams I've played, there's always a few players that, when they don't play or things are not going their way, they kind of try to bring the team down in a sense of, attitude and expressions towards, coming down for breakfast. They know maybe they're not going to play and head down, but here it's everyone's heads are held high. The only time really that, guys are heads down was when we should be winning a game and we tie. It's there's a lot of expectation everyone has on ourselves, and the standard starts from Pa as a coach. He's a leader. He was a big leader as a player, and he's our biggest leader as a coach. And it's about getting the guys around to follow him in the direction we want to go to. Everyone here is ambitious. We want to win a championship. That's why we play. I personally have not won a championship in my career, and that's a goal of mine and a goal of many guys. And me being a leader, it's about trying to lead by example and follow in that direction and try to bring guys with us. And that's the way we want to go. And it's exciting, for me working with a guy like Pa, and I would imagine for the rest of the guys, you don't have a better coach. He's a guy that holds the standard high and wants to get better every day. He's challenged me as a player, as an individual, which is honestly what's made me better and made me see, almost foresee myself in my career and what I want to achieve and my ambitions, my motivation. And the most important thing for me in performance is confidence. If you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you? And the belief he's given me and the belief he shows in me, it's it's amazing. You know, you don't get it everywhere, but it allows me to be me, which is important.
It's great to see your smile on the face. You can see you're really enjoying what you're doing, what you love the most, and what you're really good at. You know, mate, and you know, is it almost bringing that kid back into you again? I know that like that line between when you're a child and you want to become a professional is never straight, right? You know, we're going to get into that with your journey in a minute, but do you feel like you're enjoying the game more than you've ever enjoyed it as a professional?
100%. Yeah, someone asked me this question the other day actually, and really like thinking deep in my thoughts. It's the happiest I've ever been playing football, and it's the most motivated I've ever been as well, which is important. You know, I keep saying my ambition's high as a player, as a person, as an individual, and for me, it's, you know, what margins can I gain every day to be a better person, be a better player, a better teammate, and those are the challenges that have been laid in front of me from Pa, from James, you know, just the whole organization, Rob as an owner. It's just brought the just happiness in me, and like I said from before, you know, the belief they show in me gives me that extra, just that extra level that I know I can reach, and it's just every day trying to get better.
It's great to see. It really is. Take us on the journey here, Marco, a little bit. Then our listeners and our viewers here. So, born in Winnipeg, Chilean parent, Italian parent, love for the game, I would imagine, would be pretty much automatic. You had no choice, I would imagine. But tell us a little bit about your childhood, your love for the game, your first kind of memories around soccer.
Yeah, it all started actually with my dad. You know, my dad has played his whole career. You know, everyone here in Winnipeg knows my dad from the soccer community, and just me, my brother, my sister. You know, it always started with you know, going to my dad's games, and you know, we're small and watching him play, and actually sitting there and watching. And then once halftime goes, that was our cue to get on the pitch at halftime and, you know, put my sister in the net, start shooting at her, and that's how the kind of love for it kind of started. And then the connection I had with my brother and sister, you know, always, you know, playing soccer in the basement. You know, my mom yelling at me from upstairs, you know, don't kick the ball so hard, or, you know, we just didn't listen. And my dad was the quiet one. You know, he wanted us to play, but over my mom, he didn't have much authority of the yelling and all that, making holes in the wall. And but that's just who we were. You know, a big soccer family. A lot of support from them, obviously through my career so far. Obviously, moving to Vancouver at a young age was not easy for my parents, more so my mom. Mm-hmm. But they knew what I wanted, and, you know, what I worked for, and you know, without them, obviously, I wouldn't be where I am today. But it's they're obviously a huge part of my journey.
You mentioned going to Vancouver as a teenager. Before then, when did you think, or when did it hit you as a young boy, Marco, that you thought, I could do something with this? You know, I can make this. I can make it a living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at 12 years old, I was selected in the National Training Center, the NTC back then. I was actually the youngest player to ever join the program, and that showed something in itself. You know, just being from Manitoba and going to these scouting events. You know, Sean Fleming kind of running the program, then working with Rob Gale at a young age as well, and just being there, you know, with guys that are already 16, 17. And I'm 12 years old running around and getting pushed around. But that was me. I always wanted to play with older kids, more experienced players, which at the end of the day helped me quite a lot once I got to the Whitecaps. But yeah, I think at 12 years old is when, between 12 and 15 is when I really excelled at that young age, to see, you know, maybe I have a future in this.
A lot of players have that story. You just mentioned it. I remember reading Andreas Iniesta's book, which is behind me, about leaving home when he was a young boy and his mom crying. And to talk us through that a little bit. So you get offered to go to the Whitecaps. You go to Vancouver. How challenging was that for you as a family? And how, I guess, a little bit of both, no excitement, but quite a lot of trepidation.
Yeah, it was definitely exciting. You know, actually, before the scouting event that they had before starting that residency program full time, I went for 2 weeks to Liverpool, which was a really cool experience. After 3 years, then seeing Raheem Sterling, playing, and all these guys, I was like interacting with them, and it was cool. At that age, I didn't really know too much about, the history of Liverpool and the top players and all that kind of stuff. But I went there, trained for 2 weeks.
How old were you then, Marco, when you went there?
I was 14.
14. Wow.
Yeah,
14-year-old
14.
Manitoban boy going to Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there. Yeah, it was really cool. Like I got to, because the connection through there was through someone in Winnipeg who was friends with the reserve coach at the time. And I actually got to do like a training session with the reserve team once on their cool down day.
Nice.
On one of their recovery days, and Suso was there. Mavinga actually was there, that plays for TFC now. So it was a cool experience. And then that kind of brought interest from the Whitecaps, just seeing that on the media and all that kind of stuff. And then they got me to go to Vancouver for a weekend. I did really well. That was probably the best I ever played until then. And then, obviously a few months later, got an email or a letter in the mail, saying that they wanted me to be part of the residency program. And for me, I came back from school. They showed this to me, and my dad said, if you want this, you gotta work harder. It's not gonna come easy. It's not gonna be easy when you get there. So obviously, as a family, we accepted the call from the Whitecaps, and I went there. It was just crazy though. Like the first 4 months was so tough, and not a lot of guys will tell you how emotional it is, but there were a lot of nights where I'd cry. I miss home, and it was tough. The first 4 months there from September to December, it's a lot of rain. I knew nothing about it really. Kind of depressing. And when you're not
taken
happy,
away
you're not
from your friends, I suppose, as well.
Yeah,
exactly. All your friends not there.
Yeah, high school, everything's new. Living with a new family. A few families that I lived with didn't work out in the end, but I had to find my fit as a person. Everyone's different.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the first 4 months were tough. And actually, at the end of the 4 months, kind of the coaches and stuff brought me in before Christmas break, and they told me, you're not the player that we thought you would be coming in. You were really good in the combine that we had, but now, what's wrong? Like you're not in good soccer shape. You're not strong. You're losing the ball too much, too many touches. What is it that's bothering you? And for me, it was just missing home and that kind of stuff from a young age. And then going back for Christmas is where everything kind of changed. Was seeing that everyone was good, everyone really wanted this for me, and it gave me that extra drive to really want it for myself and kind of get through that hump.
Wow.
And I came back, and a big shout out to Steve Meadley, who was one of the coaches then, who really believed in me. And he just said, once you get really fit, everything will come easy. And I just tried to get as fit as I could, and then he was right. Everything started coming easy, and just kind of went from there. And it was a really good experience for sure.
What a terrific story and a terrific tale. And so many youngsters listening to this will be really appreciative that you shared that, Marco, I think, because everyone can learn things from that, right? It's a real honest and transparent approach. We appreciate that. So fast forward a little bit with the Whitecaps. I remember, I think the first time I saw you live was the Canadian Championship game. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you were picked against TFC. Were you not? Bradley played that day. Yeah. Defoe. What was that like to play? Was that your first debut for them? The first game?
That was my first Whitecaps game, first team game, and it was cool. We went there actually not knowing if they were going to play a strong team or not, and they actually played their best team, and it was actually really cool. We're sitting there in the locker room, an hour before they start writing the other starting 11 on the board, and I'm sitting there watching, and they start with Julio Cesar. Oh my God. I just seen this guy winning Champions League and
Yep.
and playing for Brazil, and then they get to the top. Defoe, I think at the time too, it was Gilberto,
Right.
um, Bradley. They played everyone, and
Right.
it was really cool. That was a great experience for me. I think I went up for a header with Stevie Caldwell. I gave him a little elbow. um, but no, it was a cool experience for sure, and you learn from them. It wasn't the best game in the world for me, but it was a great learning experience to see the level of these guys and what it takes to get to that level, and just the day in day out kind of stuff. Seeing, because we went out with a young team, which is what Vancouver kind of always did. The first round of Canadian Cup.
Yep.
But it just gives you a little taste of what professional football is like.
You guys were really good that night. I think it ended 2-1, and then the reverse leg, which I don't think you played in, went to penalty. So it was a really close game.
Yeah, it was for sure.
Yeah. How do you look back on your Whitecaps tenure? Because I think August 2018, I remember the press release coming into my inbox. Marco Bustos has terminated his contract off to Oklahoma City. Was it just the time that you felt at that point to go and explore, and tell us a little bit about why OKC?
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously I have to give a lot of thanks to the Whitecaps organization, all the coaches I worked with. Without that program, I wouldn't be playing professional football. And for me, in my time there is, looking back now, what I know now, and if I could give that kind of information to a 17-year-old, 16-year-old kid, it's every day, what is it that you're doing every day to get better? If you really have ambition to get to the next level, to get to a high level, a top professional league, it's what you're doing every day. And that's through nutrition, sleep, coming into training with a goal of, trying to be the best in training, just little things like that, and working hard. For me, a big word now is hard work. I wish I worked as hard then as I do now, but that's hindsight and kind of in the past, but you learn from it. And for me, it's just now about getting better every day. I'm not getting any younger, but that does not faze me. Jamie Vardy got to the Prem at, correct me if I'm wrong, 27, 28 years old.
Yep.
And it's, that's my mentality, is never give up, because you never know. And for me, just my tenure there was amazing. Great experience, great city. Still to this day, it's my favorite place to live. It's just such a good place. Made good friends, connections. But I definitely could have used my time better, and that's when Pa comes into, him coming into the team as an experienced center back with a big voice. He kind of took me under his wing and kind of showed me the ropes of what it's like to be a pro, or what you have to do to be professional, or even understanding being a professional, which was his big thing. He always says now, when you were 18, you didn't know what it was to be professional. And he was right. But at that time, when he's talking, or experienced guys talking at that age, it's in one year, you just nod your head and yeah, it's out the other year.
Right.
But when you really get it, when you start to understand it, and when things aren't going tough, or things are going tough for you as a player, you kind of think back to these moments, what if I listened a bit better? And he just kind of mentored me in that. And once I sort of figured it out, it just started coming like this. And it went back to that fitness part too. He bet me $200 at the end of his first season. He bet me $200 that he would come back to preseason and beat me in the yo-yo test. And for him, it was more so, let's see how hard this kid can work, and see, if he takes me serious. And for me, it was about the $200.
Right.
I didn't care anymore. All I had was focus. Oh, I want that $200. You know, this guy is bugging me constantly about my weight and my mentality that I'm weak-minded. But for him, it was a test. And I came back fitter than everyone but Russell Tiber.
Right.
And because that guy's a machine, he's different. But
yeah, I've heard about that guy running Grouse Ground Mountain, by the way.
Oh, in like 35 minutes.
Yeah, outrageous.
Crazy. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it was just to test me, and I came back. You know, I beat him by a country mile.
Fantastic.
But that wasn't the point. You know, it was just, you know, learning how to actually work hard. And my one day off in the off season was Christmas Day. And that kind of formed me as the person I am today, you know, really taking care of my nutrition, my health, everything it takes to be a professional. And, you know, along the way, you know, things mentally get tough. You know, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. And then, you know, they had told me that, you know, we don't see you in our plan. We want you to sign. We're going to give you the option to sign a new deal, but only if you get a loan somewhere. So that was the first time ever that I was like, you know, kind of on the edge of, you know, not having a team. So I ended up finding a loan in Mexico. And they obviously let me go, still under MLS contract. And that was the toughest time in my career. What kind of went from 100 to 10 really quick, you know, not knowing that part of the world too much. You know, like the training facilities, just everything was when you're brought up in something that they give you everything, going somewhere where you know, they work to get the bare minimum. It was very, very much a culture shock for me. And just, you know, when you're not, like I said, you know, when you're not happy and you kind of lose that drive, it's not good for any athlete. And definitely lost my hunger for the game, and just not having that consistent minutes, because I was going to Mexico thinking, I'm going on loan, you know, I'm going to play every game. It should be good. You know, I went there and preseason doing really well, enjoying it. And when the games come, it was tough to find game time. So I was kind of in the same spot, but in not so nice of a place. So it was like in the same, I didn't move in my career aspect. And that was the tough part. And spending a year there at the end was really good for me mentally, you know, really digging in, having to deal with that adversity. It made me definitely a stronger person and more, it gave me that motivation to keep going, you know, and the opportunity came up that OKC wanted me, and to get me, I had to kind of leave my ties with the Whitecaps. So obviously I gave them a call and expressed my feelings, and I knew that, you know, I wasn't going to be in their plans anymore. So, you know, we just mutually agreed to terminate and start something new. And I went to OKC with the intention that I was going to play every game. And I went there, and for the rest of that season, I played every game, which was important for me. I just trying to get my feet back on the pitch regularly, consistently. And that kind of brought, you know, happiness back in me. And then the next USL season, they brought in another player in my position, which is good. You know, you want healthy competition, and that's what makes the team better. And at the end of the day, they went with him, which is totally fine. And, you know, the CPL was coming around the corner, and I knew about it. Rob Gale had mentioned it to me before. And, you know, I just kind of said, you know, not yet, you know, it's brand new. I definitely want to see what it's like first before I end up going. And then the first game comes around, watched it on OneSoccer. I signed up for the free month. And then just the whole vibe and the way they did the media and the games. It seemed super professional, and I was like, oh wow, like watching one game and the media coverage and halftime show, and it felt like a new, like a TSN or something. I was like, oh wow, this is cool. And watched a few more games, and I just said, let's give it a shot. I think for me, if I can go home back to Winnipeg and play in front of my friends and my family for the first time in my professional career, I think that'll spark a little bit of happiness in me.
Right.
And even then in Oklahoma, it was like I wasn't that happy. When I first got there, I was ecstatic. New team, fresh start, and then again, kind of up and down with consistent minutes. Always being the first guy subbed out. It's just stuff like that as a player, it's tough to control.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just your head's going all over the place. And coming back to CPL was, to this day, the best decision I made. Coming back, playing every game for Valor, every minute, and in front of my friends and family was something that brought that kid back in me, like we spoke about in the beginning of this interview. And just having that consistent minutes, people talking about me again, being able to showcase myself, which was important. And then obviously, the season ended, and basically got a call almost from every team, which was nice, and
it's nice
it
to
shows,
be wanted, right, Marco? It's nice to be
yeah,
wanted.
exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
But no, it was really nice, being able to come to Winnipeg, play consistently good is what I lacked as a player growing up. As a young player, I wasn't consistent, which didn't allow me to get that time that I needed or wanted with the Whitecaps first team. And coming back and like I said, playing all these games, getting noticed, and then getting a call from Pa telling me, I'm taking the Pacific job. I want you to be my signing, and I'll give you the number 10 jersey, he tells me.
How can you say no to that guy, right? You're like, I beat you in the beep test. I'll come sign with you this time. Yeah,
exactly. It was cool, and I said, if I'm back in CPL, I want to play for you. Just the way he expressed himself, how much he wanted me, and then getting a call from James Merriman, showed how much they wanted me and the plan for me, which is what I wanted. I wanted a plan around me that's ambitious. I told Pa, I'm coming to Pacific, and I want to be the MVP of the league. I want to, because he asked me, what do you want? I said, I want to win, and I want to be the best player in the league. And he said, well, how are you going to do that? I said, come into Pacific and every day trying to get better. I know you haven't seen me in it'd probably have been 2.5 years since you had seen me, 3 years. And, I'm not the same person. I've grown a lot mentally. And I know, what it takes to be professional now. And he said, I watch your videos, your clips, watch your games. You can be the best player. You just have to believe in it, and coming in and believing that right from the start was what changed my mentality in this league. And it was just, amazing to come here. And I still yet haven't played in front of the fans, but everyone's very welcoming here. And I'm excited to, get this third season under my belt in CPL. And it's just, I'm just happy, that I'm here, happy, smiling, and playing well, because, hard work doesn't go unnoticed. And those who know me will probably tell you, I'm the hardest working person they've ever met, which makes me feel, emotional and good at the same time.
That's good, man. The hard work pays off, right? That's the key, right? You're rewarded for all the work that you've done. So much to unpack there from that story. And, again, it's great transparency for people to learn from it. You can't say this, but I will. I give you tremendous credit for the way that you look back at your time at the Whitecaps in terms of how thankful you are for the time and the opportunities. I know, and I'm sure you could say how many times there were difficult moments. Why am I not playing? I should be playing instead of this guy. There's so many of those moments in sports, right? That you have.
Yeah.
But it's wasted negative energy. It's there's no point looking back. And as you said, it's fascinating there that you just said, I'm a different person now, but you're the person now that has been created because of the way that you were when you're 18. There's no point saying, why wasn't I like that at 18? You just weren't ready to be that, and I think that brings us to where you are now, is that an age is just a number, as you talked about with the Jamie Vardy story, is that your presence in this league makes this league a lot better. That's undoubtedly, you can't argue against that. And you're already on the journey to try and become the MVP. And I guess what my point being is now is that when that next opportunity comes for you to move on, and it will come, by the way, you will be in a better mental state, will you not, to be ready to take on that adversity that perhaps you weren't ready for before.
100%. You said it, you hit it on the nail. There's, this negative energy. And I went through it. I would tell even Pa, how's this guy playing in front of me? Or how come I'm not getting a chance? And it's just stuff you can't control. You just have to control what you can. And now being in this moment is, I'm in full control of what I know, that I'm in full control of what I can do and my destiny, and being able to play game to game, game after game is in my control. Showing up to training and being the best in training every day, being, recovering well. I've given myself the best opportunity to succeed. And that's what I plan on keep on doing, is just keep level-headed, and just keep working hard. And, it's no secret, I've said a lot of times that, my ambition's high and I want to play at a higher level. And the supporting cast around me, coaches, players, is keep being you. And, we all know how hard you work. But just keep performing, keep showing what you can do, and keep being a good person, a good leader by example. And, the good things come to those who work hard and those who deserve it. And, it's just about being patient and, show up to the games and keep having fun.
And is there something, Marco, to be said about, just as you mentioned, why you went to OKC to play regular minutes, to have so many of those reference points time and time again? Because obviously you've matured so much off the pitch, but it appears, talking to you, and I've been had the pleasure to be involved in a couple of your press conferences as well, that the way you're breaking down plays and your recall is off the charts now. Is that something? And I know that wasn't always the case. You couldn't have talked to me, for example, as an 18-year-old kid, and the way that you're talking to me right now, in the way that you're recapping goals and the way that you're telling me about the move when you pass the basket for different positions. Is that something that just comes, Marco, with minutes on the pitch at a high level?
Yeah, 100%. The more experience you have and consistent game minutes is, I was never a right winger. I always preferred the number 10 role, but in today's modern game, the number 10 is non-existent, at the highest level. And actually I started playing this role with Rob Gale, but doing it with Pa, he really pushing me to, find the gaps, find the space, don't chase the game. When you start chasing the game is when you start closing the gaps, closing the space, watch football. And that's what I've been doing, the last 2 years, is constantly watching football, constantly watching guys in my position. What is it that they do at the highest level that's different? And that's just reading the game while the game is being played. The ball's on the other side. In my head, I'm to touch the touchline, and I'm observing. It's easy to say, but it's actually, when you're in the game and focused, you're trying to think, what is the possible scenario? What can happen here that I can get to the goal and score? Because I want to score. Right. I want to score and I want to assist. And if I score and assist, the team wins, everyone's happy. And And it's just about breaking it down like that. And when you see these plays happening over and over and over again, whether it be in our session, on TV, our games, Champions League finals, it's about really understanding football. And this is probably the most I've understood the game as well. Just always trying to learn, because you never stop learning. And it's awesome to expand your brain, to, have conversations. Like, I'm never in my room. This is the first time I'm in my room,
right?
Talking with you. I'm just here to sleep, but I'm always downstairs talking about football. What is it that, next game, where's space, where they think that I'm going to get the ball, and vice versa, my movement, and just stuff like that is always trying to pick people's brains and have conversation.
Who do you watch, Marco? Who are the teams that you particularly watch more of, or players? No, I just like, I'm not saying you're comparing yourself to them, but like, who are the players who are the ones that you're thinking every day I need to watch that player, or I can take a ton of, I would imagine someone like Mo Salah, players like that.
Yeah. I probably haven't missed a Messi game in a few years, for sure. He's just like, just what he does is amazing. We play relative positions, so I just try to pick up little things and try to do it my way.
Yeah.
Obviously nobody does it his way, but just little things you try to pick up, whether it's, a lot of people will say, I watch Messi, it's boring to watch because he just stands there. But there's a purpose to everything. He's standing there and observing everyone around him, and the ball gets to him. He knows exactly where he's going. Boom, boom, boom. And next thing you know, from standing, then he's scoring a hat trick.
Right. Yeah, he's the best.
And that's just the difference. And for me, there's a lot of guys, Mo Salah. I love watching Insigne play. Obviously, reverse of me, right foot, but the same kind of stature. Small, shifty, and he's one that I watched a lot here in the Euros.
Right.
And then obviously Messi in the Copa America. But all these, you see it now in every team. These inverted wingers. So any chance I can watch a high level game, I'm always keeping an eye on the wingers, for sure.
As an Englishman, as a proud Canadian myself as well, I don't really want to talk about the Euros, but I do want to know about your reaction, because I know obviously Italian heritage. What was that like, that party that you had? And did you give it to Ollie Bassett and others when you won on the shootout, the Italians? What was that like?
No, it was awesome. I was jumping on the chair in front of Bassett. I was just going, just making him blush, and no, it was good. It's football is crazy sometimes, like the passion people have for the game, and just, how it brings everyone together. We had everyone there watching it, and it was nice to see, nice to be together watching it. And some guys are watching it maybe because they feel like they have to watch it, but, I'm watching it, actually taking in the moment, and
right.
And what it is, these guys play, that semi-final game that Italy played against Spain, the first 20 minutes was like, holy smokes. Like these both teams really want to win. The pressing, the drive, just how the game started was like, holy, like just so fast, clean, and you knew that game was going to be a good game.
Yeah, so outstanding football, no doubt. Listen, you've been so gracious with your time. I could talk to you all day. You got an outstanding football brain. Quickly before I go, I've got a couple of quick rapid fire questions for you, if that's okay.
Go on.
Favorite football stadium or ground you've ever played in?
Ooh, interesting one. I think one of the cooler ones was Hibs in Scotland.
Yes.
When we went to play Scotland with the national team. I think that was a cool setup. It was the first time I played in a stadium that was so close to the pitch. The fans being so close. That English style, UK style,
right?
Stadium. I think that was one of the cooler ones.
Good one. Good memory. What about a stadium that you have to play in, or you would love to play in, that you've not done yet in the world? Anyone?
Ooh, wow. I like to keep it realistic. I think, one day I'd like to start a game at BC Place.
Okay, that's fair. Hopefully
Yeah.
soon for you, maybe. Who knows? I don't think that's too
You
far around the
never,
corner, my friend.
you never know.
You talked about your diligent fitness regime. What's a cheat food for you? Like if you're allowed a cheat day or a cheat moment, what's the one food you have to have if you're allowed to cheat occasionally?
Yeah. It's not like some people wouldn't call it a cheat too much, but I really like sushi. So when I do have a cheat meal, I eat a lot of sushi.
Yeah, I love it. That's a man who spent a lot of time in Vancouver right there. I've had some
Yeah,
tremendous
exactly.
sushi in Vancouver,
Oh,
my
the
friend.
best.
Yeah, the best,
The
no
best.
doubt. Are
Yeah.
you a pizza guy? What do you like on pizza? What's your favorite toppings?
Oof. I'm pretty simple with pizza.
Okay.
I like pepperoni and cheese,
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
I'm not a huge pizza guy.
Okay.
But if it's there, someone buys it for me, I'll eat it.
I was going to ask you Messi or Ronaldo, but I think I got my answer already earlier with that answer.
You don't have to ask me that question.
Yeah.
But what some people will say is, oh, I hate Messi, I love Ronaldo. I hate Ronaldo, I love Messi. But if you love football, you gotta love them both.
I do. I'm with you. I'm with you, mate. Look, I've spent my entire professional life trying to dodge that question. So who am I to ask you? I'll just say I've dodged it for 18 years of professional broadcasting in this country. I'll continue to dodge it. I'm just thankful for both of them. What's your favorite sport other than soccer? Is there a sport that you watch other than the one you play?
I watch a lot of basketball.
Nice.
I think it's a unique sport. It's a sport with a lot of personality. And I like the game. I enjoy it. I'm not that good at it, but I like watching it.
Awesome. Last couple for you. Favorite country other than Canada that you visit?
Oof. Wow.
Because you've been around.
I gotta say,
a lot of countries in your career.
Yeah. I gotta say Korea.
Korea. Okay.
Korea was an awesome place. We went there obviously with the national team. We played them. And everyone was so happy. It was awesome.
Nice.
We went out after the game, have some fun. And that was the first time I think I went out. I didn't see a fight. It was
right,
like a bar fight. And everyone was just smiling, happy, having a good time. And just the whole vibe was cool. And Seoul is a nice city.
And
very clean.
Last one for you. Yeah. I'd love to go there. It sounds beautiful. The country that you've not been to yet that you'd love to go to next. Is there a country that is on your list?
Not a country on my list, but there's a place on my list. Okay. I've yet to been to Hawaii.
Nice.
And my girlfriend's bugging me to go there. So.
Oh, there you go. Well, maybe after you lift the shield in November, you can take her. What about that?
Well, we'll make it happen.
Make it happen. Hey, listen, I can't thank you enough for this. This has been a tremendous insight into your guidance and all the way through the mental abilities to get through things. I'm sure so many of the fans are listening to this will really enjoy this as well. Keep up the great work. Honestly, it's a privilege to cover you. You're doing a tremendous job, and much good luck to you in the form in the bubble, and then getting out there. And hopefully, I'll see you at the football stadium soon.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Wow, where to begin with that? I think I'd probably like to begin with Marco again and thank him and Pacific FC in the Canadian Premier League for such an honest, enlightening, transparent, brave conversation. I love so much of what he said there, and I hope so many young players can take that in and understand there is no real pathway and map to going from one line to the other. There is different journeys, and you can see how much more he's matured and his explanation about events on the pitch and how much he can really recall now, the maturity that he's got, his love for Lionel Messi. And one of my favorites moments when he said he wants to be back on that BC Place pitch one day to showcase what he can do. And hey, they're playing now in the Canadian Championships as well. So who knows whether that can be arranged in the future. Also how this league is covered. I thought that was fascinating too, in terms of deciding to play in the Canadian Premier League, looking at the broadcasts, seeing what they were like. And certainly as a broadcaster, that was fascinating to hear Marco's take on that. Simply fantastic. To be honest, when I created this segment, it was for interviews exactly like that. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, everybody else at Pacific FC and the Canadian Premier League for helping me arrange that. Please let me know your thoughts. After all, I would love to hear the listeners and the viewers' thoughts on this, and we'll read some out on future episodes. Remember, please rate and review on your podcast platform or on YouTube what you think about this and the Canadian Premier League Newsroom podcast, which we recap all the games at least once, sometimes twice a week, and we'll be back this week to do that again on Friday. Thank you truly for listening. It means the world. Until next time, enjoy the games, everybody. God bless. Take care.